Kagerou Project, the fun multimedia series. Lovable characters, confusing lore, banger songs, and beautiful story writing. Don't mind me, this is my first time doing an analysis. Everyone that loves Kagerou Project loves all of the things above. But the thing about the series and story writing that stands out to me the most is the representation of mental health and even physical health. That is what resonates with me the most. I love other series, don't get me wrong, but they never make me get super invested if they don't have that emotional and relatable impact. Animes like Woahhh, The Rock, and A Silent Voice are things that I have very much enjoyed due to the relatable and realistic representation. Now, Kagerou Project is not realistic, and some things that cause the mental health issues are also probably not too realistic. Cough cough, being stuck in the days. But the mental health is realistic. Of course, this is my opinion, so agree to disagree. Anyway, on to the actual analysis. The way the series captures multiple levels of mental health and even forms of trauma is something so impactful that it's hard to explain. I'll be explaining how stuff is represented through different characters and why it's so realistic. Starting with Kano, he has compulsive lying disorder. How his music video represents it and light novel 5, it makes it easy to understand. Even to the point where he is constantly lying to himself without even noticing it, to the point where he himself cannot tell what's lie or truth. But that is only one of Kano's struggles. As a child, he used to be physically and possibly emotionally abused by his mother. Something I've seen in other series is the abusive parent having no regret of what they did afterwards. With Kano's mom, it's different. In the 5th novel, Kano explains that his mom would end up crying to him, apologizing afterwards. This cycle would repeat. Kano never hated his mother. Hell, he thought it was all his fault. He hated his neighbors asking why he was hurt. He hated the attention. He didn't blame his mom at all. Something else. Kano struggles with his survivor's guilt. He blames himself for Ayano's death. He doesn't show it at all, but he does. He blames himself so much he ends up pinning the blame on Shintaro, and starts to believe it was Shintaro's fault. Even though it wasn't either of their faults, it's still something to be noted, and something that does happen in real life. Blaming yourself for a death of a loved one or something bad happening to a loved one is very, very real, and this happens multiple times in Kagerou Project. He also deals with manipulation. After Ayano's death, Clearing makes Kano work with him, threatening if he doesn't he'll kill what's left of Kano's family. I could rant more about Kano, but I'd like to move on and I'm not good with analyses. So, it's time to move on to Shintaro. Of course, it's known Shintaro deals with depression and suicidal thoughts. Locked up in his room due to the death of his friends, Imru XX, killing himself due to the depression. This is more shown than a lot of other issues Shintaro struggles with, and that's more of what I want to talk about. Will a lot of this be me projecting, kinda? But it doesn't take away the fact that Shintaro deals with this. Shintaro does have trauma. This is never talked about, and people seem to just not see it. It shows that trauma doesn't have to come from something actually tragic and right in front of you. It can just be a death of a loved one. After Ayano's death, Shintaro blames himself for not being able to save her or reach out. He ends up having survivor's guilt, and in the manga, he blames himself for Haruka's death. He has multiple flashbacks and lost time memory. He has dreams about Ayano. Even if half of it is Yaki talking to him, it still is there. He throws everything else away to just keep any memory of Ayano, to not forget her. In the light novels, Kano turns into Ayano in front of Shintaro. All of Shintaro's past feelings come back, and he's stuck in a situation, thinking Ayano hates him, that he deserves this. Into my answer, it shows he was lonely before meeting Ayano, how he was able to predict everything, and he felt maybe even lonely. Ayano basically saved Shintaro in a way, even if it is a minor detail. I like to think about it. I love Shintaro's representation of that, but I have to move on. Momo, our beloved idol. Yes, she struggles with things too. Momo had a strong craving for attention when she was little. Because Shintaro was so much more intelligent than her, she got jealous of the praise he got. Even though her parents loved them both equally, it didn't stop that craving. She still felt not good enough. In manga Route 2, she directly told Shintaro she's going to learn how to swim before him so she can be better than him in something and get praise. But she never had any hateful feelings towards her brother. She as well has survivor's guilt. When her dad was teaching her how to swim, she ended up almost drowning and her dad died trying to save her. She blamed herself even as a child. I think Momo is an underrated character, and I hate the fact I don't have much to say on her. But I do love her nevertheless. And with that being said, moving on. Seto, my beloved. I sometimes think his problems aren't noticed as much due to him coming off as the happy nice guy. But really, he struggles too. As a kid, he dealt with bullying, constantly being shoved around by other kids in the orphanage. His only friend was a dog he found. One day, his bully threw his dog into a river and killed it. That day, he lost his only friend. Skipping years forward, he ends up healing and being able to overcome these things. That is, until we look at light novel 8. After everyone but Mary died, he ended up shoving his health out of the way. To protect Mary's, he tried to neglect everyone else he knew, and he had to lie to himself. He was okay. Once he found out Mary knew the truth, and that they found a way to contact everyone else in the days, he was afraid everyone would hate him. While I can't elaborate a lot on this, I think it was nice to see focus on Seto and his struggles. So again, moving on. Kagerou Day's music video guy, haha funny. Hibiya, obviously, has trauma and survivor's guilt. Shown in Otsukimi recital, he has tons of flashbacks even when he's trying to be cheered up. Going to the park but getting flashbacks to Hiyori at the park, seeing Momo pet a cat and getting flashbacks to Hiyori petting the cat, etc. He as well has survivor's guilt, blaming himself for not being able to save Hiyori, as Hiyori's still dead and stuck in a loop. He ends up doing the same thing as Kano and pinning the blame on someone else, Konoha. He constantly blames Konoha for it, calling Konoha out for not being able to save Hiyori as he was there too. All you did was just watch, Hibiya would mention. Hibiya is a really cool character, and if I could talk about him more, I would. But, on to the next character. Phew, Ayano. As seen in Additional Memory, she deals with loneliness. She's alone in the days. She constantly reflects back on moments with her family and moments with Shintaro. She knows she had to die to save her family, but she missed everyone. She sacrificed her own health for everyone else's. When she was alive, she had to hide what she knew about everything. She had to be the older sister figure to her siblings and had to continue being happy around Shintaro for his sake. She had to watch her sacrifice to nothing in the end. Imagine how much pain that caused. Ayano so desperately wishes to be the person everyone relies on. She loathes in it. If she can't save anyone, what's the point of her being there in the first place? She wants to be the hero for everyone. She also deals with regret. In Additional Memory, it shows she never got to tell Shintaro her feelings. It was too late. She wishes she could have and she so desperately wanted to. It pains her she couldn't. Her character is something that impacts the entire story as a whole, and she is so important. Her character and her impact on other characters is something she does best, and I love her. Now, moving on. Haruka and Takane both deal with diseases. Haruka deals with a fatal disease, most likely a heart disease. Takane most likely deals with narcolepsy, and I'm assuming it can be fatal. But I want to dig into their characters a bit more individually. Haruka wants to be stronger due to his illness not allowing it. He feels that sense of loneliness because he can't physically be strong enough to do certain things, and he has to visit the hospital frequently. In manga Route 2, he deals with loneliness because the kids at school wouldn't hang out with him. Even though he has no friends, he tries to be happy. In the hospital, he meets Takane. Takane ends up introducing Haruka to video games and becoming his first ever friend. Takane gets out of the hospital, but Haruka is stuck in it. Later, Shintaro is taken to the hospital and is in the same room as Haruka. They eventually become friends, but it is shown Haruka still worries about Takane and does have nightmares about her. In the light novels, Haruka is heavily afraid of death, but he knows he will die soon. He opens up to Shintaro about it, and they both cry together. It's a big mess, but it shows how afraid Haruka is on the inside versus the outside. Haruka also blames himself for Konoha, and Konoha getting possessed and killing everyone else, as he told Shintaro to kill him while in the daze. But I'll move on to Takane. Takane deals with bottling up her emotions and feelings. She also deals with survivor's guilt, thinking it's her fault Haruka died. She was so caught up in her own pride she ignored him. She didn't notice when he passed out from his illness. In MR2, she also doesn't have any friends until Haruka. She deals with jealousy as well. She comes back after leaving the hospital to visit Haruka, even bringing gifts with her. But she sees Haruka and Shintaro playing video games together and laughing. She ran out of the hospital jealous. She ended up committing suicide. She deals with the same thing Ayano did, not being able to express her feelings before it was too late. In every route, she seems to die right before she gets to tell Haruka she loves him. She desperately wanted to tell him that. As much as I want to talk about Takane more, I want to move on. Even though NE is the same person as Takane, she deals with way different things in Route XX and MR2. In Route XX, she does her absolute best to try and not let Shintaro commit suicide. She does her best to distract him and does everything she can. She has to bottle up everything with Haruka and keep everything from Shintaro. She's afraid if she even brings up that she used to know Shintaro, it'll give Shintaro bad memories of Ayano and the past. Yet she still tries her best to make Shintaro happy and distract him. She ends up failing, getting deleted and watching Shintaro kill himself. Plus, she has to deal with her teacher being the one planning their deaths, even if it actually wasn't Kagerou, and he didn't know that. Then in MR2, she admits she was running away from all her problems to Shintaro, and says that Shintaro saved her as much as she saved him. As much as I want to continue this video, I don't have the motivation. It's late at night as I'm editing this, so this brings me to my conclusion. I only covered half the problems characters face in this series, and half of the mental health and physical health issues portrayed. While I never made an analysis video before, I hope this could help people look more closely into characters' struggles and the general meaning behind series. And I hope this helped people to see what is happening in Kagerou Project other than just the lore, character development, and relationships. I find Jin's representation and storytelling to be amazing. Not only does he have meanings and potential for every single character, he also can keep you invested. Plus, the songs are amazing, and the creativity put into this series is something I cannot describe. I have sobbed multiple times over this series, so I just needed to make an analysis video. Anyway, that's all I have to say for this. I would love to make more videos like this if people enjoyed it. And with that being said, enjoy the rest of your day or night or etc.